Superb penultimate over. Superb penultimate over, I must
Yeah,
say.
absolutely.
Those last three
Absolutely.
overs were great.
Yeah.
That that was actually one of my points. Is I was hoping that she actually would have brought Ishmael back earlier, but Class did phenomenally well in her last over. She did. For
True.
someone of little experience, she did good.
All right, welcome back to the post-match segment of the second T20I between South Africa and Pakistan. Now, we did miss out on the mid-inning segment on the Outside View Live, so we will take you through the first innings, break it down, the experts will share their opinions, then we'll take you through the second innings and obviously the yay and nay segment towards the end. So South Africa batted first. They scored 133 runs for the loss of 5 wickets. Now our predictions were up in the 150s, 160s. So it was good to see Pakistan sort of contain South Africa. We have Sawera joining us for this segment as well. Sawera, welcome back. Your thoughts on the Pakistan's bowling in the first innings?
Thank you, Radha. I believe Pakistan bowled pretty well because restricting South Africa to 133 was really good effort from Pakistan, and the way they bowled it was really good. Some fielding, not some fielding lapses, a lot of fielding lapses though. 9 drop catches and almost 3 direct hits were missed. But even then, restricting South Africa to 133 was really a good effort by them. But then I believe they missed the trick while batting.
Yeah, and we see that their captain, their like normal captain, is not in here. That coupled with not good enough form in the top order has really caused these 5 losses back to back. Claire, talking about the first innings, we didn't know how the pitch was going to play out, and then so what is your sort of assessment from now that we have the second innings as well? But after the first innings, what were your thoughts?
No, look, even taking the second innings out of it, I thought of the first innings, it was incredibly slow. We saw exactly the same thing happen in the first, second, third ODI, first T20. But I almost want to say it's probably been the worst pitch in terms of pace that they've had over the series so far. I almost want to add the word tacky into it. It just felt like it wasn't just slow, but it was like tacky and yeah, I don't know how best, Ananya, you might be able to sort of use a different word to sort of describe it, but the ball was so slow in coming in onto the bat. Off air, we discussed some of the Pakistani drop catches, and I almost thought that the drop catches, and there were 10 of them, especially in those first 6 or 7 overs, that seemed like the timing of the catches was out. The players either ran it, or they were like too short to the ball. And for me, that was even an example that that pitch was holding up the ball. Then the bat coming off the ball had sort of that underspin or that backspin, as you would call it. And that also caused a lot of issues in terms of clean catches that we would have liked the Pakistanis to take. Because if they'd taken a couple of those opportunities early on, South Africa would have been in a whole lot of trouble. And for them then to rebuild their innings would have been it would have been an interesting prospect to watch.
That would have been the real challenge. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see South Africa challenge like that. But we talk about the pitch, and I think in the pre-match we mentioned Saida Arup Shah, who's missing out. Ananya, do you think that her whole mystery element and with the slowness, the tackiness of the pitch would have actually really challenged South Africa even more?
I'm sure it would have. I think we saw the spinners bowl really well. They were getting a bit of turn as well. I think the Pakistan spinners bowled at a wonderful pace. They were offering absolutely no pace to the South Africans, and they had to really come at the ball. So I think someone like Arup, who's someone who genuinely turns the ball, she gets really good revs on the ball. So I think she would have probably been a huge challenge to play on this wicket, especially someone who's turning the ball away from the batters. So apart from Laura Wolfart, who really likes that offside, I think the others would have really struggled to, hit against the spin. So she definitely would have been a challenge on this pitch, and hopefully Pakistan play her in the final game.
So in the power play in the first innings, at the end of 6 overs, South Africa were 22 for 1, which is a relatively small score. And at 7.3 overs, they in fact faced 4.3 overs of dots. So we really see that Pakistan had set up really well. But Ananya, you mentioned this again. They tend not to carry through towards the ends of the innings, and we saw that again. So Sawera, what can they? We've talked about this enough, but really, how do they maintain that momentum and maintain that sort of pressure and stronghold on South Africa?
See, the main issue was during the middle overs and the end of middle overs, because I believe from the 12th over, the momentum shifted towards South Africa. And from there, the way Brits started batting and the way they were batting, the momentum totally shifted towards them. Because before that, Pakistan kept them uptight and the runs were not coming at all. Even the running between the wickets was really difficult. But I believe they should take out positives from this game, because they bowled really well. The way they bowled, it was remarkable. And yes, I even want to see Aroop play, because Aroop would have been deadly on this wicket. But Nashra wasn't that bad, because the way she started bowling, her early overs were really good. The way Diana bowled her first 2 overs were brilliant. So they just kept South African batters on back foot, but eventually they just missed it. And as soon as the batters were settled, the way Brit just completed her complete inning, the way she batted, she built her inning. She was pretty slow when she started off, and then she started charging when she was all settled. So I believe the top order of Pakistan should have learned something from her.
Yeah, and a very calculated innings we see. Claire, can you just talk us through a little more of the specifics of Brits' innings? Because she had to keep assessing who was at the other end and what the situation was and who was hitting, who was running. And it seemed like a very smart innings, and building off of 50 from the first T20, she really upped herself here.
I think the talent that she shows is the mature head she has. It was a difficult pitch to score runs up front. And the fact that I think she didn't let that get to her. She was like, oh, I'll knock it around, sort of pick up the singles. And the slowness to her innings helped her in a way, because of where she was able to launch off to. For me, one of the standouts, and she didn't score a huge amount of runs, but I thought she brought a lot to the partnership, and I think she helped Brits a lot, was Mignon du Preez. When she came out, she had a huge amount of energy in her. She ran really well between the wickets. She only got 15. But the way she rotated the strike, and I think the confidence that the Brits just got from her being, with her at the crease, it really helped sort of launch her innings. And that's where you sort of saw her sort of escalate her run rate. Wolfhard also, I think, helped when she came to the crease. Wolfhard, I think, looked really good when she joined Brits in the middle. And I would have maybe, we know we can see South Africa going with Cap at 3, but off this pitch, it would have been really interesting to see Wolfhard come off at 3. I couldn't help sort of let my thoughts drift that way. She's a very good offside player, and she played some beautiful shots over the top into that offside. And it would have been quite interesting to see how she would have done if she'd come in a little bit earlier and didn't have to force the run rate quite as much as when she came in at number 4. But I thought Brits batted absolutely superbly. I think she's got a great future. She's not a youngster in terms of age within the South African setup, but I do think she's got a good couple of years in her. And I think this T20 suits her. And I would like to see her get a look in the ODIs. I think up front she could be devastating, and maybe a future little partnership between Brits and Laura Wolfhard might be on the cards.
You heard it here first, everyone. When that happens, we're gonna cut paste this Claire video from there. But Mignon du Preez, you're right. She brought a lot of confidence, and Brits, in fact, got her half century with this beautiful 6, and we saw du Preez sort of patting her on her back, and the morale was really being lifted after a very sort of wobbly start. Ananya, about the Pakistan bowling, we saw Anam Amin do pretty well at the beginning. And unfortunately, there was a lot of misjudgments out on the boundary. A lot of catches were dropped. how does a captain like Alia sort of rally the troops and say, it's okay, it happens. Keep bowling tight lines, keep running to the ball, picking it up, take your starts and really throw the ball to the wicket keeper in time, because it can get really demoralizing after even 3-4 drops.
It definitely can, and I think it did get to Pakistan. I mean, I think Anam for one, has to be blamed herself. She dropped 2 pretty straightforward cotton bowls. I mean, as a bowler, you can blame like 5 other people, but it's worse when you do it yourself. So when someone else drops a catch off your bowling, you can't really say anything to them. But as far as how Alia Riaz kind of has to handle this, I mean, I think like Claire said, the issue with all these dropped catches were that no one really got to the ball, or very few of them actually got their hands to the ball. Aside from that, those 2 drops by Anam where they were pretty straightforward, everyone else really misjudged them. So I think that I don't know what the insecure, I don't know, the insecurity or there's this unwillingness to actually attack the ball after that. I mean, you saw Anam when she got Dupree to edge that delivery up there, she did not want to go for the ball. Like, she didn't approach it at all. And you can see that with the other fielders as well, that there's this they're really unsure under the high balls, and it's going to be really difficult for them. Hopefully it's not something that carries through, but it's just got worse for Pakistan. And I think Sudarshan tweeted this saying that Pakistan can't catch COVID, but they really can't catch anything at the moment. It's really terrible. But I mean, I don't know how Alia would address this, because it's something that's it's an issue that they've had to deal with over the years. So going into a World Cup or going into the qualifiers, it's something they'll have to address quickly, because it can hurt them even more in a one-day game.
Yeah, that's pretty much a sort of summary of the first innings. Pakistan bowled well, South Africa then took the control back. There was a lot of faltering in the field, and South Africa did post a total of 133. Then Pakistan comes out to bat. We know they've had top order troubles, and Umema Sohail bowled by Cap and Aisha Zafar bowled by Ismail is a direct copy paste from the first T20. Sawera, just again, I mean, we talk about this all the time, but the top order has to be fixed. What did they do wrong today, and how can they fix it?
They did exactly what they've been doing wrong, because this top order is not performing at all. And I don't know why. Maybe they don't have many options to not continue with them, but they are continuing with them. And I believe they need to gain some confidence back, because right now the main issue that I addressed earlier as well, that we are not with our regular captain. First, Bisma Maroof did not tour South Africa, and then Javeria, the other stand-in captain, is not even playing in the T20s. So this is the biggest gap that I can see. Secondly, these 2 girls, Bisma and Javeria, they're not just the captain, they are even one of the best batters of our team. So we are missing them both, and this is the gap that we see in the top order. We cannot see Bisma batting there, we cannot see Javeria batting there, and apparently they both are the most experienced ones and one of the reliable batters of Pakistan. So this is the main issue that I can see. And Umema and Aisha Zafar are not getting the bowlers of South Africa at all. And it was evident. It was you could see that all around this series. You could see that. So I believe they need to do something with the opening. But then coming down the order, the way Aisha and Alia batted, I believe it was just steel of nerves of South Africa, the way they just countered the onslaught by Alia and Aisha Naseem, because at one point of time it looked like that they just chase it down, but eventually the experience of Shabnam came in, and the time when Aisha Naseem was caught, the time when Aisha Naseem just did not understand what happened with Shabnam's bowling, and she did not know what to do. That was the time when all the hopes were gone.
Yeah, and we've constantly sort of talked about this so much, almost to sort of manifest it into happening, that we said Nida Dar needs to come in earlier. She came in at 4, that lasted one ball. She was bowled around the legs by Shabnam Ismail, who had a blinder of a game. Claire, how is it that in this series we always write out Pakistan towards the first 10 overs of their batting, and then they somehow switch it on, and then they somehow sort of claw back into the game, just when it gets out of reach. But really, she did come up, and it didn't sort of come off today, but they shouldn't sort of get disheartened from that, because that was sort of a good attacking approach, wasn't it?
No, absolutely. So I think that would be very important to take out of this game, that just because Dog got bowled around the legs doesn't mean what they did failed. So I hope that they sort of in the third T20 that they keep her coming in up the order. I don't see it as a failure at all, and it's really important to understand any batsman can get a great delivery or make a minor mistake off your first ball you face and get bowled around the legs. So I don't think they must see that as a experiment failed. You've got to give that another try. Touching on the openers, they definitely do have a problem up front. And unfortunately, I can remember us speaking before the first T20 when we didn't know that Sawera was injured. And I thought she batted really nicely in that third ODI. So I would have liked to see her opening the batting again. She's just got the stability about her. And maybe it does, it comes from the maturity, playing a lot of games. You just understand your game. You understand your strengths and weaknesses. So I think it would be great if she does manage to play in that third T20, that she opens the batting and just takes that responsibility on her as the captain to lead from the front. But you can't be in a situation where you are 20 for 4 and then they were 48 for 5. You're going to struggle all the time to win games from that. And we've seen it time and time again that, near the end of the innings, they get a good partnership going, a couple of good 4s, good 6s, and the momentum starts shifting towards Pakistan. And then South Africa managed with cool, calm heads at the end to sort of rescue the game as such. So Pakistan, they've got huge issues up front. And I think the fact that Sawera is out and obviously the normal captain, Mismar, is also not there, that's sort of really adding to their issues. But they need to sort of look at themselves and say, what can they do for this third T20? Because they've got literally 0 out of 5. So you would love to see them just get one win under their belt in a tour to South Africa.
Yeah, and their first 50 came in 76 balls and their second 50 came in 28 balls. So we really see them trying, and we see Aisha Naseem again. Much like Tasman Brits, she upped her performance from the second T20. Obviously, different people, different situations, different roles. But I had this sort of thinking out loud. I had a question now that she's just a youngster, 16 years old, and she's made her mark. How does the coaching staff, or how does one sort of cultivate her and groom her? There might be a temptation to then say, hey, she's hitting well, let's put her up top because, people aren't working out over there. So just understanding the mindset of the coaches here, Claire, if you would just want to touch upon that, how do you take this talent of a 16-year-old and sort of cultivate her into a player?
Sure. So what you've just said is incredibly tempting. And I think the coaching staff could be sort of having those thought processes. Do we bring her up the order? Does she come in to opening the batting as an example, just to get us off on a good start? I must be honest, I think she's a phenomenal prospect, and I think that might be a mistake to use her to open the batting. She's a 16-year-old. You can see she has no fear. She plays what she sees, and she has that inner confidence to know where her strengths are, and she doesn't care about her weaknesses. So if a bowler is bowling to her weakness, she doesn't even overthink it. She just goes, well, what can I do with this ball? I think she would be quite interesting to see if she came in higher up as a number 3 or 4. But I'm not quite sure you want to open the batting with her. And the other thing, it would be really interesting to see her against Cup and Ismail and having to face 12 deliveries from those sort of caliber of bowlers. And we could see that when she did face 1 or 2 balls from Ismail, she did struggle to get the ball away. So that ball that's just back of the leg, that's sort of coming in sort of at the rib cage, it would really be interesting to see how she would adapt to getting that ball away quite easily. She's very comfortable against that medium pace and the spinners, of course, and she did really, really well. But when you just add a couple of extra sort of clicks onto that pace and the ball's just coming back of a length and she's not getting that sort of width to be able to sort of play square of a wicket, it would be interesting to see how she does. So from a coaching perspective, to go back to the original question, I don't want to see her going up too far up the order, but I do think she can move slightly up the order, and they just need to keep talking to her. She's got a natural confidence, and look, I haven't had an interview with her or conversation, but the other word I would use is humble. She doesn't sort of get away from herself when she's batting. She's got this confidence, but there's no arrogance. It's just sort of a calmness. It's just really fantastic to see a young girl of 16 with so much confidence, humbleness about her, and her future in Pakistan cricket is sort of unstoppable at this moment in time. So from a coaching perspective, I hope they do look after her and they don't sort of expose her in a horrible way, because I do believe she's got the head on her to handle it. So she would be able to handle it. But there's that fine line between handling it and starting to get under someone's skin. But she is an incredible talent and she's fantastic to watch.
And,
Yes,
and
Sawera,
add to that, sorry,
Yeah.
Radha, but just the game smarts that she has. I mean, after a boundary, being able to look for a single and just rotate the strike, and she really hustles between the wickets, which is not something that we see often with the Pakistani batters. She really pushes between the wickets. So, just those simple things, and her presence at the crease is pretty amazing for a 16-year-old. So, yeah, like Claire said, I think she has a very, very bright future, and she's hugely exciting prospect.
and with that, Sawera, I was going to ask you a similar thing. You were nodding wholeheartedly with what Claire was saying. Your thoughts on Aisha as a player, as a person, and just the future that she has.
Rather, I've seen her playing. I have seen her playing the domestic as well, and she's in her team. She has always got the role of a floater. She has played at number 4. She's played at number 5. She's even batted at number 7. So Pakistan can use her at number 4, I believe, because the way the kind of confidence she has, I believe the seniors need to learn from her. This is what I even said in the first T20, because the way she has been batting without any fear, without even thinking what will come next, how this ball would just come to her. She is just focusing on her strength. This is what every other batter has to learn. But as she came down the order, so Pakistan came to the party all too late. It was pretty tough for Alia and Aisha to just continue from there and chase this target. So if the team management of Pakistan decides bringing her at number 4, let's say, I think it would be a good choice. But I would totally agree with Claire that opening with Aisha Naseem would not be a very good idea, because you don't want to shatter the confidence of that one batter which looks so confident in your batting lineup.
And with that, we sort of covered the Pakistani batting lineup of the second innings. Just talking about the South African bowling now. Ananya, in the first T20, we saw that the first 4 overs were 4 different bowlers. They didn't let the Pakistan batter settle down, whereas this time, Marazan Cup finished all 4 overs in one go. So what did you make of that change? And did it just come with the situation that the game was in at that point?
I think it naturally, I mean, it was just a natural thing. I don't think it was pre-planned, because the way Kap and Ismail bowled, I think Pakistan really struggled to get off the blocks. And I think for me, it was just that they were going for the jugular. They wanted to kill the chase as soon as possible. That's what it looked like, because they bowled 7, I think all 7, the first 7 overs, sorry. So it was just South Africa going for the jugular, wanting to kill the chase as soon as possible. And it was really nice to see, because Marazan Kap, I think she settled into a rhythm really quickly. She bowled the best she's bowled all series today. I think she was very, very good with that new ball. And Ismail, I think, has been in very good rhythm throughout. So, I really enjoyed watching them bowl, but I'm a little annoyed with the way Pakistan played. Umema Sohail, the same shot. Aisha Zafar, I think, fell for the same trap again. And it's just the fact that these girls don't seem to be able to counter something that you should be able to see coming, because it's not like South Africa are changing their plans to them. Even Muniba Ali, it's just Ismail coming around the wicket, kind of tucking her up, and she's just poking at the ball again. It's just a repeat of everything that's happening. And I think that's the bigger worry for Pakistan. It's not that they're making mistakes, but they're making the same mistakes again and again. And you just kind of start falling down a hole then, and it's how do I get out of this? Because they're getting into a rut at the moment, and it's just, I find it very difficult to see them getting out of it, because it's the same mistakes again and again. And that just can really get to you as a batter.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw Lizelle Lee rather change up from that first to the second ODI, because she knew what she was doing and she corrected that. We didn't see that today with the Pakistani batting. Hopefully we do see that. Hopefully, they go back and introspection, retrospection, they do everything to understand what they have to do. Claire, I know you can talk about Shabnam Ismail for hours and hours on end, but 4 overs, 12 runs, 5 wickets, best economy in the lineup, obviously. A fifer and just some excellent bowling. Just your thoughts on her spell in this match?
Yeah, no, she was just phenomenal today. And look, she's been phenomenal the whole series, ODI and the T20. She really hasn't sort of put a foot wrong. And I think it's the intelligence often, and I don't think we give enough credit to how much she thinks about her deliveries and where she puts the ball. So if you look at the delivery to Zafar, Ananya, I can totally agree with you. You're looking at that and you're going, gosh, it's the same thing over and over again. Like, are the Pakistani batters going to their technical support staff and saying, guys, I want to see clips. Like, I want to see clips of my last sort of 10 innings, where I went out or where I got an inside edge or whatever it might be. But it just seems like they're not paying that kind of detail to what they are doing as batters, because they're doing the same things over and over again, which is actually making the South African bowlers their life easier. Make them think about where they need to, what they need to do. I thought Pakistan as well, they were too much square and sort of cross-backed. Everything they were playing square of the wicket in the first sort of 4 to 5 overs. And against Cup and Ismail, that's just a sin. And so you kind of saw Ismail getting the ball sort of on that 4th stump. So then they can't sort of squeeze that ball out sort of behind point. And then obviously we saw the cross-backed shot with Zafar and Ismail like bowling her. So it's kind of like, I want to say simple things that they're doing wrong. And then the problem is with Ismail, when she gets that 1 wicket and she gets that 2nd wicket, then unfortunately it's over, because she just gets such a bee in her bonnet and she sees that she's going to go for it. Like, no one's getting it. And by the time she got the 3rd wicket, I think she knew today she was going to get a fifer. She was like, it's a done deal. I'm going to go for it. And she's just like a dog with a bone. She just doesn't let it go. But the other thing I just want to touch on from an Ismail perspective is her fielding today. I think her fielding and the fielding of South Africa in general, except for the run-outs, I think we are missing something there. I think in the last couple of matches, we should be picking up at least 2 run-outs per match, and we're not doing that. But that's a separate issue. But Ismail, her pace across the field in that outfield is just phenomenal. The angles that she attacks the ball at, if you just take that alone, I think her bowling figures should have maybe been she conceded 2 runs, because her alone in the field, she probably stopped at least 10 runs. And I mean, that's just it's just another sort of asset in her arsenal that she has for the South African team. But she was phenomenal. Her bowling was just beautiful today.
And just on that, Pakistan sort of were getting back into the game towards the end, and there were 3 overs left. They needed 30 odd runs, and you could have then just thought that bring Ismail in, finish it off right now. But they put Class and they put Khaka, and then they brought Ismail towards the end. So Sunay, actually, I don't know if it was giving an opportunity for someone in that pressure situation or what it was, but it did pay off towards the end. But what were your thoughts on that sort of penultimate over coming in? Claire, you can go for it.
Okay, sorry. I was really happy with Class. So exactly how you said, I sort of was like, oh no, pushed Ishmael back. And then Sunay decided, no, actually, I'm going to leave her out for the last over. So as soon as she didn't bowl, sort of that third last over, then you knew she was going to come in on the last over. I mean, that was sort of a foregone conclusion. They bowled Kaka, which I thought Kaka had bowled really well the whole innings. I think she'd bowled her first 12 deliveries. I might be slightly off. She had 11 dot balls. I think it was she bowled 2 overs for 1 run. So Kaka, I thought, bowled exceptionally well. And I like to see that pressure being put on to her. It's like, come on, you need to sort of start stepping up. And she's got the experience under the belt. So I think that was fantastic from Liz to put Kaka in. And then Klaas, I thought that penultimate over was phenomenal. I can't remember. I think there were only 4 runs or 6 runs off. I wrote down here 6 runs off that last over. When Pakistan were needing a sort of a required run rate of 15. So the pressure on her was huge. And I thought she did remarkably well. It was really interesting, though, if you noted the lengths of those 3 bowlers. So the interesting thing is Kaka and Klaas were fuller. They were trying to find the block hole. Obviously, lots of slower deliveries, but it was really pitched up and was in the block hole. And then you saw Ishmael come in, and what did she bowl? She bowled that back of a length, sort of slower delivery. And for me, that was just phenomenal to watch. And I think sort of young ladies watching cricket must sort of like look at those differences in 3 different bowlers, their different bowling styles, and how they know that they can restrict runs at the back end of an innings. And you can see the game plan for Kaka, you can see the game plan for Klaas, and it suits them. And it worked today. And then Ishmael comes back of the length, a lot of slower balls, cutters. You can see her ripping across the side of the ball, and that did the trick for Ishmael as well.
Right, and just on that note, Sawera, I wanted to ask you the first 4 again. We come back, but Pakistan's top 4 batters at 4-2-1-0, so it was almost just no contribution there. But we see Kainat Imtiaz played a good role in a partnership with Alia Riaz towards the beginning of that revival of Pakistan. Do you see her sort of cementing her place in this middle order? She's making a comeback. It's a difficult situation with the top order just not performing at all. Do you see her cementing her place in the middle order of Pakistan?
Definitely, Kainat has been batting well, and the way she batted today, she just gave that. I believe there's this domino effect that starts when the wicket starts falling for Pakistan. It usually happens, even in the men's game. This domino effect starts from the opener to the 1 down to the 2nd down, but she just halted it there, and she started batting well. And then with Alia, she batted well for a while. But I don't know. I want to see Kainat even bowling, because Kainat bowls really well. I don't know why they're not making her bowl. Why isn't she bowling? I don't know that inside story right now, that inside news why she isn't bowling. But when you speak about Kainat Imtiaz, it just reminds me that she dropped 2 catches during the field. So she had to make up those catches. So the way she batted, it was good with her. But then I'll come back again to Alia, and I want to talk about Alia, because if I talk about Alia, she batted really well, but she really has big shoes to fill in. It takes a lot to inspire your teammates right away if you're a stand-in captain. But having said that, in the end, I would say Pakistan is literally missing on the key moments. They need to learn the art how to finish matches, because as you said, that they're down, they're 4 down, they're 5 down, then they come back in the game, and then they cannot finish the game. So they need to learn that altogether, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's been a story of Pakistan in this series so far. Just to summarize, South Africa has won this game by 18 runs. Comfortable towards the end with some really good bowling. Let's move on to our next segment, a little more fun segment called Yay or Nay. All of you know how it works. Ananya, I'll start with you, so you have all the options in the world. Go for it.
Well, I'm gonna go something Claire mentioned before. My yay moment is gonna be Ayabonga Kaka and the Yorker she bowled in her 3rd and 4th over. I thought she was exceptional. She really held her nerve when Aisha Naseem was coming at her. And I think she was that pace that Aisha Naseem really likes. someone who she could come at and hit her straight down the ground. But the fact that Kaka nailed her Yorkers and was able to really, I suppose, quell the momentum that Pakistan had gained during that period, I thought was exceptional. So Team Pacer, yay. My name moment was Aisha Zafar. I didn't, just the fact that she fell for the trap again, knowing that Ismail was going to push her back and then bring her forward, I enjoyed watching the dismissal, don't get me wrong. It was awesome to watch, but it was just frustrating as a batter to see her fall for it again.
All right, Claire, moving on to you, your yay and nay moments.
So my name moment is definitely South Africa's run-out opportunities that they keep missing. I would really, really like them to sort that out. And they're not near misses as well. So some of them are like, they're missing the stumps by a long way. And Pakistan in today's innings, if I'm not mistaken, probably gave us 4 or 5 opportunities. And they're not even hitting the stumps. So if you're taking a split second to steady yourself and then make sure you at least hit the stumps and you miss the run out, I think I would probably be a little bit more satisfied. And I know it's kind of, I'm contradicting myself in a way, but at least it sort of sounds like you're getting it on target. So I really would like to see them sort of tighten up on that and really make sure they're hitting the stumps a little bit more. My yay moment is definitely going to be Tasman Brits's innings. I just like to control. I think from a personal perspective, coming from an opening bat role, I can see the thought process in a very difficult pitch, ball not coming onto the bat. You like pace, you like hitting the ball through the covers, or you like hitting the ball straight in the V, or even the pull that you can pull out against pace. And that wasn't on offer today. And the mere fact that she just took her time, she got her eye in, and worked out where her scoring opportunities were, and then she built that confidence through the innings to then go on and score a remarkable 66. That definitely for me was a special moment today.
And it's interesting you mentioned that as your name moment, because even if you're in the crease, just the sound of the ball crashing to the stumps actually puts a little pressure on the batters, and they become a little wary that we can't take that person on next time around because we might be out of the crease. So I think it's a great insight that you mentioned that. Sawera, moving on to you, the last and final of the yays and the nays from this match.
A lot of nay moments for me with this match or with the series, but I'll first tell the yay moment. The yay moment would definitely be Aisha Naseem and Alia Riaz's partnership, the way they batted and just made our hopes alive again in this match. And the nay moment would be fielding of Pakistan team. They need to work on their fielding because I believe 18 runs, and we missed these 18 runs. We let South Africa make this 18 runs maybe through our fielding. So yes, my nay moment would be Pakistan's fielding, definitely.
Yeah, I think many a times Pakistan just gives it to South Africa, and we've seen that they don't make them work for it too much. So hopefully we see that just cleaned up and sorted out with the last and final T20. So just before we wrap up this segment, we'll just go around the panel once more on your thoughts on the last and final T20. It's obviously the last match of Pakistan in South Africa. What do you want to see? Hopefully, again, we mentioned consolation win and things like that, but hopefully we see a tight, intense game of cricket. And Ananya, we'll start with you.
I'm going to sound like a broken record, but Aroop Shah playing, I think Aroop Shah has to play. And if the wicket is anything like it was today, she's going to be a handful. And I mean, Pakistan have absolutely nothing to lose. They've had a really poor series. They need to find a win, and I think it's a good opportunity to blood a youngster. And she's proven herself, or proven her medal in the limited opportunities she's got. So I really would like her to play. But in terms of, I guess, what else I would like to see from them is just maybe a little more intensity with the bat. I feel like there's so much talent, there's so much potential, but they're just not able to string that together. I think they're showing bits or they're doing it in fits and starts, but they're not able to piece a full performance together. They did well with the ball today. They did well with the bat in the previous T20, but we haven't seen like a performance stitched together today. So, I mean, I would like to see them maybe, I don't know, reverse the batting order. I don't know, something drastic just to see them score runs, because right now that batting order is just like doing dismally. So yeah, just Arup Shah playing for me for Pakistan. And with South Africa, I suppose they've been clinical. I think they didn't do that well with the bat today, but I mean, Tasman Brits, like Claire said, I think her game smarts, the way she played the field was so good to see. So it's great to see those players like grabbing their opportunities. And even Shangase, even though she went for a few runs, I think she did show a lot of promise. She wasn't scared to flight the ball and really give it some air and force the batters to come at her. So there are a lot of promising signs. I want to see Nadine de Klerk play. I think South Africa have to find a way to fit her in. She's such a good player. So, you know, like I said earlier, I think South Africa have a problem of plenty, but it's a really good problem to have at this stage.
We're going to relay your player request to both the camps for the third T20.
And I'm not jinxing any one of them.
Yeah, perfect. Keep that in mind. Claire, your thoughts on the last and final T20 coming up?
I could not agree more with Ananya. I think I would like to see Arup Shah bowl. So if you can pass the message on from a South African supporter, I would like Arup Shah to play, please. So definitely that would be the one from a Pakistan perspective, and then just some little juggles in that batting lineup. The fact that they moved Dar up was a positive. And so I think they must keep her there and then see what else they can do around Dar, just to strengthen it and just to try and keep that positivity going with that Pakistan sort of the top order. From a South African perspective, I totally agree. I would also like to see Nadine get a look in. So I think what they might do is similar to what they did in the third ODI and rest Cup, or maybe even rest Ismail. As well as she bowled, and again, I'll repeat what I said pre-show. It's not a performance drop. It's a rest within the squad and understanding where Cricket South Africa and the Momentum Proteas want to go. So they would probably have to drop one of them to find a space for Nadine, because I wouldn't like to see Klaas or Kaka dropped. Not yet. I still believe they need growth, they need experience, they need opportunity. Whereas Ismail and Cup, we know, are cemented. They know what they're doing. They know their roles within the side. So that's kind of how I would like to sort of see the shuffle go. And Shangase must definitely get another game. And I'd love to see her bowl her 4 overs. I think you're 100% right. She's not afraid. She gave the ball some good flight, some good air. And from a young spinner, that's always exciting to see. She only went for 12 of her 2 overs. So 6 runs and over, there's nothing wrong with that. I just think the game kind of meant that Sune couldn't give her a 3rd over. So you totally understand that from a captain perspective. So nothing against the decision not to give her a 3rd and 4th over. But I think if they had a 3rd T20 to give her the opportunity to try and bowl through with her 4 overs would be great.
And with Cap and Ishmael, they've probably taken enough wickets for 3 matches. So it'll be totally fine if they're rested for the 3rd game and somebody else gets a chance. Just ending the segment, Sawera, with your thoughts on the last and final T20.
It's like America's Got Talent. We have got 3 votes for Arup Shah to play now. So Arup Shah should play now. And I believe with Pakistan, bowling has been joining the party, but batting, that is that one thing that they need to work it around. They need to work it around big time, and they need to focus not just skill-wise, even mentally. I believe they need to be a bit stronger to face South Africa, because the way they've been facing South Africa, I believe at one point of time, it's the mental strength that gives more of an edge to South African players. And if I have to take out positives from this series altogether, or these 2 matches of T20s, I would say Pakistan is trying to find the right combination right now, and they are pretty close to that. Just with the change of Arup Shah that we have been saying on, and we want to see Arup play. But it will take consistency for them to excel from here onwards. And there has been a lot that they've learned, and I believe they perform better as they'll play more matches out from their home.
And with that, we wrap up the coverage for the second match. Hopefully, we've given you a little preview into the third and final T20 coming up. We know this is a little long, so thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sticking around. Hopefully, we made up for the miss of the mid-inning segment. The third and final T20 is on the 3rd of Feb on Wednesday. The last T20, we will again be here for all the extra coverage before and after the game. So we'll see you then and have a great weekend.